Is our democracy being redesigned by the Election Commission of India, that is undertaking a revision of electoral rolls as a pilot project in Bihar, which has elections later this year? Is that the beginning of a template of disenfranchisement? What is going to happen to Bihar? What happens to the rights of people who do not have property and documents? This is a sort of existential question now confronting us. And I have Dipankar, General Secretary of the CPIML, which is the one force in Bihar that has actually, over the decades, fought for the rights of the landless, the poor, the very section of society that many fear could be left out by the Election Commission exercise in Bihar. Dipankar himself has worked in Bihar for over 40 years. He's been at the head of the CPIML for 27 years. And actually, in the India alliance, in the last election in the state and in the Lok Sabha election last year, this party had the best strike rate, both in the assembly and in the Lok Sabha. So where ML works, it's an effective, potent force. And but we are living in a changing world. We don't know who's going to be able to vote. And so, Dipankar, thank you for speaking to Frontline.
Thanks for having me.
And thank you for this conversation. What are your fears in Bihar and what is actually happening on the ground?
You mentioned this SIR. So the Election Commission calls it a special intensive revision. And the people of Bihar, they call it vote bandi, like demonetization. And I find this is a surgical, invasive reconstruction. This is a surgical strike, and this is not intensive, this is completely invasive. And it's not revising, this is complete reconstruction of the electoral law. And of course, this is disenfranchisement is a very, very real threat now, real danger for the poor, for the migrant workers, for the people who don't really have enough documents. And I can tell you, I mean, underdeveloped is also underdocumented. So if you find that Bihar is backward state in terms of socio-economic development, so it's also backward in terms of digitalization, digital documentation. So it's a real threat for democracy. But I can tell you that Bihar is one state where the people really, they love their democracy. They need this democracy. In our own movement, when we started in the 70s and 80s, till middle of 80s, we didn't used to contest election. But I very vividly remember the 1989 election when for the first time people managed to confront this booth capturing. They managed to sort of fight this feudal stranglehold over the electoral process, cast their own votes, paying a heavy price. I remember 89 Lok Sabha election, on the day of the polling, just after the polling was over, some 22 people were gunned down in an electoral massacre, let's call it. It's not just the usual typical caste massacre or nothing to do with any land struggle. This is simply because the people had dared to cast their vote and vote for their own representative. And we had won that election. So people know the value of a vote. I think they are not going to sacrifice it so easily. So that's why I am hopeful that in Bihar, people will be fighting back with all their strength to defend their voting right.
Bihar is the only state in the Hindi belt where the Bharatiya Janata Party has not directly come into power as yet. It has prevailed elsewhere. So could this be part of a manner in which to remove that is the fear that some people have, the certain section of society, data shows us, it's not something that I'm making up over here, that the richer people are, the more landed they are, and the higher their castes are, the more likely they are to vote for the Bharatiya Janata Party. Whereas the poorer people are, the less likely they are. I'm not saying they do not vote for them or the allies, but the less likely. That is the data analysis shows us. So could this be part of that, or is this just a bureaucratic exercise? Because serious questions have been asked of the Election Commission of India about Maharashtra voter lists.
I mean, this is, in fact, the Chief Election Commissioner told us when we met him that a lot of questions came up in Maharashtra, and that's why we're doing the SIR in Bihar.
I see.
So I told him that Maharashtra questions will have to be answered in Maharashtra.
Right.
You can't, Bihar is not going to balance Maharashtra. And in fact, I don't really think that this is just some for one election, something for Bihar.
Okay.
This is something all India. The Election Commission has said so in as many words that this is a new kind of way of elections will be conducted in India. What electoral rolls will be constructed in India. And it so happens that they are beginning with Bihar because this is the only election happening now. So I don't think this is just to win one single Bihar election. Because the BJP it's true that BJP independently has never come to power in Bihar. And even now, I don't think BJP can independently manage to come to power in Bihar. But I don't think, because they have anyway been, it's a double engine government. Anyway, they had Nitish Kumar for much of this 20 years, except for probably 2 short periods. So they have been in power. And I don't think that it is just their desperation to somehow grab power in Bihar that they are doing this. It goes way beyond that. You rightly said this is a democracy being redesigned in India.
Yeah.
And if you look at these 3 things in a holistic manner, first thing is the way the election commissioners are being chosen. So this is very clear. And in fact, the election commissioner told us that this is a new election commission. And it got me thinking, and I immediately said that how can there be a new election commission? It's a constitutional body in perpetual existence. But then I realized that to an extent he's true. He's correct, because earlier the election commissions used to be appointed in a different way. This is the first election commission appointed after the Modi government came up with a legislation which clearly says in the 3-member committee, the government will have a 2/3 majority. Right now we have Modi and Amit Shah who choose their election commissioners. So the election commission may well think that we have to work in partnership with the government and we don't have to care about the opposition, don't have to care about the people. So this election commission, new kind of election commission you have. Then you have this whole push for one nation, one election.
Yes.
And the third thing is electoral roll, which is the most crucial thing in an election. Because if you want actually universal adult franchise, so that has to begin with the construction of the electoral roll.
Right.
If somebody doesn't have, in fact, in the 80s, people used to have their names on electoral rolls, but they couldn't cast their votes. There used to be booth capturing. So, but they didn't have this existential crisis that their names will not be there. Now they are having this crisis where their names will be removed from the election commission, electoral roll. And that's why I think this is a major attack. This is probably the biggest possible attack on Constitution that we have been discussing all these years.
Right.
This has brought it to every home. Everybody can easily see that the most fundamental right, the crucial cornerstone of our Constitution, which is universal adult franchise, that is at stake.
Absolutely. But when you're talking about one nation, one poll, so you also see a complete redesign that is being sought, right? As I'm saying it, that gets into federal powers. It gets into disenfranchisement. It takes away powers of the states. So yes, so there is this blueprint that could be unfolding before us. But what is the ideology that is behind it? How much can the left today actually take on the right? It seems to be the right is all powerful. They have money, they have resources, they have cadre. And yet in the Bihar space, you have been able to be quite potent. So can you just explain that to us?
No, as I told you, I think Bihar is not amused. Bihar is not going to take it lightly.
Okay.
Now, Bihar is one state where even before the emergency, the 1974 movement happened. They could probably anticipate what was going to come. And when the emergency really happened, in 77, while the emergency was still underway, the elections happened. And the people threw that government out of power. And Bihar was one state where probably the Congress got 0 seats then, if I remember well, in 1975, 77.
The emergency.
So, during emergency. So once again, I think Bihar probably Bihar can see, how it is going to affect Bihar as such. Bihar is all about migration, migrant workers. And it has been so, from the colonial period. The indentured laborers, they were all mostly from Bihar.
Okay.
So Bihar has been typically the labor exporting zone. And now migrant laborers from Bihar, they are all over India. So we saw how during the Corona lockdown period, the pandemic period, it is the Bihar migrant workers who had to, take the brunt of the whole attack. They had to trek back home on feet. And now they are being removed from the electoral roll. And I think this is going to affect everything. This is not just some organ that you can cut off, migrant workers, because their families are there. So they are very much, Bihari. They are the soul of Bihar, the migrant workers. Then the poor who don't really have documents. And look at what this SIS tells you. Post 2003, that is a new generation. So that is people below 40. People below 40 will have to prove their citizenship. So this is all about proving your citizenship.
Right.
Even though the Election Commission doesn't admit, they call it only just eligibility testing, but they are actually getting into the NRC thing in Bihar. And the young generation, below 40, the women of Bihar, migrant workers, and of course Muslims, they are going to have to prove their citizenship in Bihar. So I'm sure that people will fight back. And it is this fight which actually gives the left. The left and this struggle is the mode of existence for us. Struggle is also the mode of existence for democracy, for the people in Bihar. So this is why I think we can definitely get a lot of energy out of it. We need this fight.
Just to get into detail about Bihar, in the areas where in the last assembly election, you were given 19 seats as part of an alliance with RJD Congress, and you had the best for your seats.
You won 12.
You won 12. In the area where you win, in your geographical area, the BJP had often lost out to you. So there is a belief now that Chirag Paswan would be unleashed in those areas. Could you elaborate a little bit? Because since from then to now, equations are different. Nitish Kumar is ailing. Even Lalu Yadav is ailing. Chirag Paswan has 0 in the last election, but he was just unleashed as a new figure there. And you have Prashant Kishore also somewhere in the picture. Things are different. Plus, you don't know who's going to vote. So, can you just tell me what you anticipate in the areas where you have fought big battles? How will Chirag? What is your anticipation?
You are right. South Bihar is the region where we did our best. And the BJP fared worst in South Bihar. Look at the Lok Sabha results. There are 4 seats from Shahabad. All 4 have been won. 2 up by our party, 1 by Congress, 1 by RJD.
Okay.
And neighboring 3 seats in the Magad region. So of the 10 seats won by the India bloc, 7 of them are from South Bihar, which is Shahabad and Magad. And you can see the BJP paying a lot of attention. Modi's second rally was in Bikramganj, probably the first time Prime Minister came to Bikramganj. And after that, there was a rally by Chirag Paswan in Ara, which was not a district rally of Bhojpur, but which was basically pan-South Bihar kind of mobilization for him. And where he kind of said that I'm going to contest 243 seats. And there are talks that he may well be the NDA candidate from a general seat in Bhojpur. So it may well be that the BJP probably will field Chirag Paswan as the frontline kind of figure for the NDA, because they took a lot of beating in the last 2 elections. So probably they want to now experiment with Chirag Paswan.
But at the same time, you don't really think they're going to dump Nitish Kumar, even though his popularity, he's ailing. And plus, there has been a loss of control over the law and order situations. There has been violent crimes in Patna.
Complete. It's a reign of terror now in Bihar. It's a government of the criminals, by the criminals, for the criminals. Even if you have seen that CCTV footage of that murder in Paris hospital.
In the hospital, yes.
So the way those 5 young people, they came, they arrived, they carried out the shooting, and then they left. And especially the 5th person. And none of them tried to hide their face or any such thing. So it shows complete lack of fear. Absolutely. because they know that they enjoy absolute impunity and patronage. So this is what has happened in Bihar, and I'm sure that Nitish Kumar, his main plank was Sushashan, good governance. So if this is good governance, where criminals, they call all the shots, the officials, you have an ADG in Bihar who gives you all these fancy statistics that, murders are less in May and June, more in May and June, when the farmers don't have work. So in July, apparently, when the rains arrive, the monsoon arrives, and then the farmers get busy with agriculture. So he's trying to suggest that the farmers are also doubling as criminals. And then he says, well, Patna has this, they used to talk about demographic dividend, about the youth. And now he's saying that when you have 500,000 young people in Patna, what do you expect? So you expect that this kind of killings will happen. So this is the kind of police force that you have there. You have a minister who says these are not crimes. This is just some kind of conflict resolution, mutual conflict resolution among criminals. So I think they have just lost it. So probably, but the BJP still needs Nitish Kumar. BJP needs Nitish Kumar. Without Nitish Kumar, Modi 3.0 would not have happened.
Right.
That's why he had to be hijacked just before the elections.
Yeah.
And even now, if you just compare the Odisha and Bihar, I mean, Odisha, it was all about Naveen Patnaik, his health. Modi was so worried. And here, Nitish Kumar, everybody perceives that last 1.5 years,
his health,
his health, his public conduct, it is no longer like Nitish Kumar. It's very unlike Nitish Kumar. So definitely something somewhere is wrong. But nobody will talk about it, especially in the India, especially the BJP. So probably they need Nitish Kumar for the time being and for the elections.
Yes.
But people know that something else is cooking. And maybe we'll find, if the BJP manages the majority, which is absolutely unlikely now. In spite of the SIR, I don't see the NDA actually regaining Bihar. But I think Nitish Kumar is on his way out. And the BJP is playing all kinds of games.
And you see Chirag Paswan as, once Nitish is gone, he will...
I don't see he will be a stopgap arrangement.
Okay.
But probably they want to create some kind of impression that they will project several aspiring chief ministerial faces so that to keep people interested, to keep people engaged, so that they can get votes from different parties.
Yes. So what about getting back to the sign of the Gadbandhan of the opposition led by the RJD, therefore, which has the chief ministerial candidate in Tejasvi Yadav. Right. And then you have Congress, which had a dismal performance in the last assembly election. And then we have you and... but interestingly, Rahul Gandhi has made a statement in Kerala that the left, he's fighting the left, that the right, he's equated the left with the RSS.
I won't call it equated, but somehow he has found a way of clubbing the two together, which is, I think, completely unwarranted.
Yeah.
Quite unfortunate, because he may be, confronting a CPM government there. But of course, he said this is about ideology. He's not talking about anything else. But it may be that in Kerala, you don't, even in Lok Sabha, you had a fractured kind of India coalition in Kerala.
Yeah.
And that continues. That, given India's diverse kind of political geography, so you'll find states where there will not be a completely unified India. But we have to find a way of,
But yet, that remark was...
No, I think...
where did it come from? Because Rahul Gandhi, by commentators, is often accused of being left-leaning. And suddenly he launches forth. Then his next contest is in Bihar, where you are part of the alliance and you have a better strike rate than they have.
Of course, he will say that he put it only in the context of Kerala, not in the all India context, not in the context of India, but in any context. In any context, I think it has to be realized that what is the India coalition? The India coalition is basically the coming together of all the major political streams of India's freedom movement. So which is, we are the successors of Bhagat Singh. The Indian left movement is nothing else.
Okay.
This is Bhagat Singh was probably the first authentic left leader of India. So the Bhagat Singh kind of legacy, the Ambedkar's legacy, the legacy of Gandhi and Nehru, the legacy of, let's say, Perrier. So all these legacies, which are part of the freedom movement, very intimately, integrally, we have to come together to fight this one force which was never part of the Indian freedom movement, who acted against the freedom movement. So that's India, for me, ideologically speaking, historically speaking, that's a perspective. So we have to work together. There may be differences. You will find one Trinamool Congress government in Bengal where the Congress and the left, they are in opposition. You will find Kerala where the left is in power, the Congress is in opposition. So these things will happen. There was Delhi where the Aam Aadmi Party was in power and the Congress was in the opposition.
Right.
There is Punjab where the Aam Aadmi Party
Now,
is in power.
Aam Aadmi Party has just left India.
Okay, that's
they made an announcement to that effect.
Okay, that's I mean a call that they may have taken. But for me, all the non-BJP forces, there should also be anti-BJP forces because the BJP appropriates everybody. You know, even there's a VIP party which is the latest entrant in all.
You mean VIP, which represents the Sani community?
Right. So they in the 2020 assembly elections, they had sided with BJP, and there were 5 MLAs. And all the 5 MLAs, they were gobbled up by the BJP.
I see.
And this Mukesh Sahni, who was in the cabinet, he was thrown out of the cabinet. So they have, the hard way they have realized that small parties, they don't have absolutely any life in the NDA. So NDA is all about the domination of the BJP and the BJP appropriating all.
Absolutely.
So all the non-BJP parties, even the Shiv Sena has realized.
Yes, yes.
So non-BJP parties, basically, it's not enough to be non-BJP. You have to fight against the BJP. Now, of course, some will fight, go the whole hog, fight on every front, socially, culturally, educationally, ideologically, politically. Some may only dispute a particular aspect of the BJP. But I think when we have to fight the BJP, so we have to find a common kind of language, a common way of uniting. And when we cannot march, we have to march separately and striking together, that's a different thing. But in India coalition, we have also decided to march together and strike together.
Okay, but I have, structurally, the election commission, people who look at the voter list are the booth level officers, BLOs as we call them, who are temporarily government servants and all of that. And then you have the BLAs, who are the booth level agents of political parties.
Which is more discussed than MLAs now.
Yes. And the booth level, because I have witnessed how it works in a lot myself, and they're always RSS workers, even though they are meant to be people who reside in that block or that area, they're very often, it's just managed. That because the cadres
there are videos and
there are videos and a lot of it.
BJP office bearers sitting together with the BLA.
And the intent, this voter listing, I'll just say that it's not something that's suddenly happening now. Of course it is. But if you look at what has been done in the past, we have seen people excluded from the voter list. Every election it happens, especially with minorities. So in the end, this whole exercise is about the poor. I agree with you. But in the end, definitely, ideologically, they want the minorities to be excluded. Number one. Number two, how does the RJD, Congress, CPIML fight against the booth level officers in line with the booth level agents of the largest cadre organization in the world called the Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh? So, and they are driven by this hatred of certain sections of society. So, may I just ask you, how do you counter that?
I'll tell you 2 things. One is, of course, now there is this whole talk about, lot of Bangladeshis and people from Myanmar and people from Nepal, BLOs on their so-called house-to-house kind of visits, they are discovering such things. But on 10th July 2019, when our Ravi Shankar Prasad, who is currently the BJP MP from Patna, he used to be the Law and Justice Minister then. And on 10th July 2019, he had told Parliament, citing the Election Commission, that the Election Commission has said that 2016 to 2019, it got only 3 complaints from across India of foreign nationals on electoral rolls. Okay. And those 3 cases were in 2018, one from Telangana, one from West Bengal, one from Gujarat, none from Bihar.
Okay.
So this sudden discovery of this kind of influx of foreign nationals in Bihar villages, this is something which defies credibility. So I don't think that people are going to accept it. So that is one thing. The number two, they are introducing a kind of NRC by the back door. On 25th February 2020, Bihar Assembly took a consensus resolution, unanimous resolution. Nitish Kumar was then with the BJP, that Bihar doesn't need NRC. There will never be an NRC in Bihar. And now they are trying to introduce or impose NRC on Bihar through this electoral road. So I don't think that the people in Bihar, they are going to accept this. And we'll fight it back. And the BLOs and the BLAs, I think they are under pressure. So when BLOs, they are seen as the people who are actually the instruments of exclusion, I think they will have to face the people. The BLAs, if they just act as the instruments of exclusion, disenfranchisement. So I don't think that people are going to...
Okay, so it's not as simple as it seems.
Surely.
What is the 40 years of working in Bihar? What has been the arc of the process for you? What has been this?
See, when we started, people say that, well, we, of course, the party of the most oppressed people. And for the oppressed people, the key issues back then in the 70s, we used to call it three issues: land, wages, and dignity. So dignity was probably the most important thing. And then the way we used to measure dignity was like, whether somebody can sit on a cot, sit on a chair, somebody can actually ask for wages for the work that they have done. And then gradually in the 80s, we fought for the voting right. So from land, wages, dignity, and claiming your exercising your franchise, I think now we have reached a stage where dignity really means that you lead a dignified life where you have your rights, education, health, employment, and secure employment with decent wages. So all these issues have come up. So I can tell you that this whole, the agenda, this has become bigger. This has, there has been a kind of enriched agenda now. And there is a renewal, because that generation which had to fight for their right to vote, that generation which had to fight for their basic human rights, basic dignity. So these are things now, this current generation, they take things for granted. But they, of course, we call about this aspiring kind of generation.
Yes.
They want education, they want jobs, they want decent wages. So I think this kind of we see it as a continuum.
Because the language of conversation, it used to be feudalism. In Bihar, it was about land. I myself reported, I learned a lot of things with my assignments in Bihar. And it's been, now it's about social media. What is your traction on social media? It's about which party has so much money. So how, and you are a left party which is doing well in your focus areas. So how do you, this world has shifted?
World has of course shifted, but I think at the end of the day, it is the people, who matter, and it's all about them.
Okay.
It's not about some companies, it's not about how much profit they can earn. Especially in Bihar, that's one state where it still pulsates, the life of the people.
Okay.
And in BJP, is not seen just as a party which practices communalism in Bihar. Of course, it is a communal polarization, but it's also a party which represents the feudal forces in Bihar. So the rise of the BJP is being seen as the rise of some kind of feudal restoration in Bihar.
I see.
So I really hope that the entire, all the sections of oppressed poor, there are a lot of people who probably still have been voting for BJP because of Nitish Kumar. And Nitish Kumar's own caste, the Kurmi community, I am told there is very little penetration of the RSS in that community. So they just barely tolerate the BJP because of Nitish Kumar.
Right.
So I still hope that there are large sections of Bihari society, whether they have been part of the communist movement, part of the socialist movement, part of the old Congress tradition, freedom movement. But I think that legacy runs very deep in Bihar. BJP will be definitely fought on every.
The AIMIM, led by Asaduddin Owaisi, it had won a few seats in the Himachal area of Bihar. And they have sought to have an alliance also with I think RJD will decide, and Congress would probably be against it. Do you have a view on that?
We have also received a letter from them. But of course, it is a coalition as a whole which has to take a call.
What do you think?
So I think it won't be proper for me to give an opinion on this. But I'll tell you one thing. I mean, they have every right. So I don't look at it as just a Hyderabad-based party. This is an all-India party.
They won seats.
Which is their name.
Yes.
Name is all India. And obviously, last election, they won 5 seats. But Lok Sabha, they didn't do that well. So it's, at the end of the day, if I think there is a feeling that the concerns of the Muslim community are not being addressed adequately by people who care for Muslim votes, but they should also care for Muslim voters and their concerns. So that's where I think the AIMIM really entered Bihar. And after the anti-CA movement, they won a few seats in that region. But they didn't do well in the Lok Sabha so much. So let's see, I mean, how it comes up. I mean, this is another party. It's an identity-based party.
It is an identity-based party.
There are scores of identity-based parties in India.
It's in a small area that they would like to operate. And the fear, I think, is that otherwise the votes could be cut. I don't know. Or maybe they cannot be cut because the RJD also...
It all depends. See, at the end of the day, it depends on the people. I'll tell you, in the last election, when AIMIM was not part of our coalition, they fought independently. We won a seat from West Champaran called Sikta. Okay. We won it narrowly because we had a candidate who got votes from all sections. The landless poor, the sugar cane growers, and the Muslim community, which is quite sizable there.
Right.
But there was an AIMIM candidate, and if I remember correctly, he polled around 8,000 votes. But still, I think at the end of the day, people realize that if you to defeat BJP, so the CPIML is the best bet, and we had the goodwill of all sections. We won. So let's see, I mean, how it shapes up.
So now the monsoon session of Parliament is about to begin. It's a year since the Modi government lost a simple majority and is now a coalition. But though the ideological agenda is going full throttle, there has been no letting up of that. So the monsoon session, and meanwhile we've had a war, we've had conflict, we've had the Pahalgam attack, and the world is shifting.
Right.
I would just like your thoughts on this whole situation. And we have a president in the US who also talks about India-Pakistan wars. Just give your say.
I didn't see Pahalgam.
And we have a genocide taking place in Gaza, and you're one of the few Indian parties which takes positions
exactly.
on that.
I'll just
so just the whole arc of the world.
I think Pahalgam, the important thing now is it has been more than, I think, 90 days now, probably. And we still don't know those 5 or 4 terrorists who came and did all this, where are they? So the main question then was to bring them to justice, to get justice for the victim families. And I saw the other day the LG, Manoj Sinha, he gives an interview, says this was a major security failure, I take responsibility. So I don't know how you take responsibility sitting on the chair. I mean, you were the LG. So if this is, the government now admits that this is a security failure, so then that they should also admit that stripping Kashmir of its statehood was a big mistake.
Yeah, right.
Because that's what brought the whole security as a central kind of government's prerogative, as Union territory. And they have completely messed it up. So I think Kashmir has to get its statehood back. And Pahalgam, they said Operation Sindoor was for the justice of Pahalgam victims. But no justice has been done. And in fact, the Operation Sindoor, now we don't really know how many jets we have lost. We don't, the government doesn't talk about the people who have been killed in Jammu, I mean, Poonch and all these areas. The people who have lost their lives. So, and these MPs who were sent out on a global kind of a tour to explain the Indian position, they have come back. We don't really know what they got when they visited all those countries. So the feeling is that we are completely isolated in the international arena.
Right.
But this foreign policy isolation, I think, why this isolation now? I think for me, the primary reason for this isolation is that India has mortgaged its foreign policy to Trump and Netanyahu combined. And if you really don't really have the guts to condemn the genocide in no uncertain terms in the United Nations, which most of the countries in the world they are doing, even England and Germany and France, they did it, and we abstained. So how on earth can we expect, when you can't condemn a genocide, which has claimed thousands of lives, and in fact, if you take the total figures, it will be running to close to 1 million now.
Right.
And then how can we expect that people will be concerned about Pahalgam? So I think that's what has brought us all this isolation and complete kind of derailment of Indian foreign policy. And India should be discussing it. So it has been a complete betrayal, complete failure on every field, from the economy to governance to foreign policy, and increasingly the whole of India's unity. If you pit one language against another, one religion against another, if you go on dividing the country. So the beauty of the whole national movement was it united India.
Right.
Of course, there was a partition, but united India. And the constitution is the basis which can keep India united. So I think these are major issues. And probably this whole last 1 year's experience has made the people of India more experienced. They have seen what's happening. And I'm sure with the SIR and all that, so the BJP is probably explaining itself, exposing itself more clearly to more and more people who probably need more experience to understand the BJP. And I'm sure that the people will definitely give the final verdict.
Thank you so much, Dipankar. Thanks a lot.